Good morning, Assalamu alaikum, marhaba to all the lovely attendees of this Pan African Youth Leadership Foundation's Global Leadership Summit, which is happening in this amazing city of Dubai. It's wonderful to hear that quite a few of you have traveled from other countries to attend this event, and I'm sure that you would not regret coming to Dubai for the same, except that the weather may not really be very much in your favor, but I'm sure that you will agree that the charm of this city overshadows that aspect by far. So, well, firstly, please do accept my humble apologies as I could not be in person here today. And it's my loss of not having the privilege of meeting everyone in person. But unfortunately, the situation did not allow me to have the flexibility of changing the schedule. Having said that, I'm sitting in the heart of where quite a few come from. I am today addressing you from this beautiful city of Luanda in Angola. Been traveling quite a bit in Africa over, been recently to Djibouti, to Juba, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Zambia, and many more to go. Um, so happy to talk to all of you. My apologies once again. So while I have been living in the Gulf region for about a quarter of a century, I lived in UAE, Saudi, Qatar, and Oman. However, my business involvement has been across the Middle East, Africa, and the European continent, right, including Asia. So today I speak to you in the capacity of having been involved at sea levels and at board levels with large family business groups who are involved in multiple business lines across several geographies, right? So that's one part of what you can get to hear from me. My key role has been in structuring these family businesses from an emotion-driven business to a professional entity, from a people-dependent business to a process-based organization, from a low profit or sometimes even loss making units to a market leadership status, and from a founder centric institution to a more evolved and involved organization where the second and third generation can be inducted with the right profiles and acceptability from the legacy leaders who have been involved in bringing the organization to its current growth level. I'm also involved extensively in one of the top business need areas of today, and which is the adoption of intelligent automation by organizations so that human and artificial intelligence can complement each other to create a win win for both and demonstrate exceptional results, both using each other's value. So, technology is no doubt it's a business enabler today, and no organization can function effectively without embracing that, right? You cannot escape. However, technology risk today is classified as the highest business risk. So, I also play a major role in technology audit and governance to mitigate the cyber and data related risks of organizations. I have also been a co-founder of a successful startup and am now involved with quite a few other startups in handholding them with respect to their business model, market entry, growth, etc. Whatever I can add as a value to those organizations. And lastly, I'm extensively involved in cross-border investment and expansion of businesses across geographies, right? So, for example, right, like I'm in Africa now, we have investments in manufacturing, in retail, hypermarkets, trading, real estate, hotels, construction, in all these areas, and so I feel the real pulse of the consumer in all these countries. I mean, I'm right now I'm in Africa, so I'm saying Africa, but for that many other countries as well. Now, the reason I'm giving you this background is so that you are rest assured that what I'm speaking today comes from pure hands-on experience around organizational transformation and expansion, business structuring and turnaround, change management and risk mitigation, and more importantly, identification of opportunity and growth strategy implementation. However, to tell you that this is not the career that I had envisioned for myself during my early days. My passion was to fly at top speed, and I wanted to be a fighter jet pilot. And I did get selected and trained for 3 years through a very rigorous selection process for one of the best military academies in the world to become a fighter jet pilot. I still wear every day the emblem of my academy and this fighter jet. Um, but I never knew that subsequently I would be destined for a very different career, right? Now, but what happened? Having spent all those years at the military academy and undergone a massive personal transformation exercise, wherein I was trained to lead by example and become a leader who can motivate his team to be able to even give their life for the country without having any control over, I mean, as a leader, you don't have any control over giving increments or bonuses or promotions or anything because that is driven through the official government system. That grooming gave me a definite edge in the civil world over others who weren't that fortunate enough to have gone through such a molding opportunity because these such opportunity does not come in a regular college or university to certain extent, right? So my initial upbringing in this defense services or armed forces environment, wherein kids we were uprooted frequently from one place to another because it's a transferable job. So my father was also flying for the Air Force, and that's where I got the inspiration from. So but every 2 or 3 years they would get posted to a new state, new station. So for us it meant every time, every 2 or 3 years, start making new friends all over again, settle in a new school, a new environment, a new food, new culture. But that has helped me immensely in harnessing some very important life-saving adaptability skills. So this highly adaptive nature, coupled with the mental and physical strength which was imparted during the military academy training, where only one thing is drilled in your DNA. It says nothing is impossible. So it really enhances the risk taking and leadership abilities, which I believe is the key reason for me having had a differentiated approach in the business world, leading to a successful professional career. During my career span, I've had the privilege of being in top management C level positions for very large and diversified multinational family business groups while managing and growing business across 23 countries in Middle East, Africa, and South Asia region. Now, I have never shied away from any opportunity, be it leading to change of a country or a product or service line or profession, because that risk-taking ability and the eye for spotting an opportunity, and further being able to lead a team of people while showing them the vision and motivating them to implement change has always been a proven success model for me. So I was always brought in at the top position to bring in complete organizational transformation and business turnaround. And having done that over and over again for about 20 years, I found that there are several family businesses who need such assistance from an transformation lead, external transformation leader sometimes, who can walk the talk and bring in the desired change. As it is relatively difficult for such businesses to hire the best of the talent, and sometimes the leadership team may also not be professionally qualified to lead change. And that's when I, at one stage, also decided to get into the space of consulting to help those businesses structure themselves and take that leap towards creating a highly profitable, well governed, professional, sustainable growth model. So, I, my job has always been of a business doctor to resolve the key problems of today's large scale businesses, but who started a couple of decades back as startups of those times. Now, problems being faced by these businesses after several years of existence could be any low profits, loss making, large inventories, obsolescence, sizable receivables, poor cash flow situation, inadequate talent acquisition and management process, lack of effective strategy and change management culture, poor governance framework, weak technology adoption, weak risk mitigation, and maybe a poor market intelligence structure or marketing structure. So almost at every stage, I have been required to take the organizations through a massive transformation journey, but in my own indigenous style. Yeah. So the requirement always was of a business doctor who could understand the pain area, diagnose the root cause by interacting with majority of the people in the organization, understanding the external market, uh, etc., etc., and further cure the problems by walking the talk and bringing visible changes with clear return on investment. So what happens, my learning experience amassed over all these years was a great help to chairmen and C levels of such organizations, uh, because these were preventing them from becoming a high growth, lean, efficient, process oriented, performance driven businesses. Because the founders of businesses or the chairmen of businesses who started business many years back are very good risk takers and opportunity identifiers. And however, as the organizations grow and become big across geographies, across people, they require different talent as leadership, visionary, processes, governance, right? So that's where probably the existing, the legacy team, leadership team, who are very good at day-to-day operations, but not very strong at change, bringing in the change, sometimes struggle. And that's where people like me have really been of assistance. So now another very strong belief that I have is that about technology adoption, like I said, of human and artificial intelligence working together. Um, but you can bring in the best of the technology, but then if humans are not willing to use it, not prepared to embrace the change, it doesn't work. Companies spend millions and waste all money. So in many, I have witnessed business investing heavily in these innovative and expensive technologies, but failing to utilize even a minor percentage. Key reason is because the failure of entire requirement gathering from the users and the decision making process coupled with getting the buy-in, change management, implementation process throughout the organization. That is the Herculean target and not the technology, right? People want to save their jobs. People don't understand what benefit it brings. So that's a massive gap, which again, I try and see how I help uh, bridge this between people, technology, organizations, and all that. Now, also I mentioned about how the risk, I decided to play a extensive role in technology risk mitigation because um, there have been n number of businesses who have paid ransoms, millions, hundred thousands, whatever you may call it, depending on the size of the business, because hackers have become extremely, extremely smart. Um, and private sector businesses or family businesses have never had that kind of a structure or understood the risk which can not only bring financial but also reputational loss. However, the fact is that 80% of the cyber attacks are taking place because of human error, right? And that's why the emphasis of working with people, guiding, coaching, mentoring, leading, motivating, getting their buy-in is all becomes my core focus areas uh, for people to work with these people and mold them to bring out the best of their capabilities, right? So, what I'm trying to say here is, so if there are budding entrepreneurs here, I have to highlight that irrespective of the number of years for which an organization has existed, at some stage it has to undergo a natural evolution process and will constantly face several challenges and hurdles, which are nothing but opportunities of transformation and growth. And if such occurrence bother the would-be entrepreneur, then they should ideally never think of starting a business in the first place. So principally, an organization has to go through a startup phase multiple times during the business life cycle. But again, someone has a risk-taking ability, eye for spotting opportunity, knack of in cashing the opportunity by developing an effective people management and leadership skill, then there is never a bad time to start or invest a business. Because it is ironical to note that established businesses with several years of demonstrated track record as well as audited financials, etc., go through challenging times because they find it extremely difficult to secure financial support from the banks and financial institutions. Whereas a startup with no past track record or experience of running or demonstrated results can secure funding just by making the right pitch, the right strategy, the conviction of people behind it. And all these are important. But then we also know that 90 to 95% of the startups fail. Why? If there are such high failure rates, why should people invest in startups? See, one of the main things is that sometimes the founders of these startups are, we need to understand that the founders of startups should not be business owners, but rather be entrepreneurs. So, what is the difference between a business owner and an entrepreneur? So, a business owner is driving revenue and profitability, while an entrepreneur is driving change and disruption. So, an entrepreneur has to be a visionary who's trying to make a difference in the lives of people. And it is with that conviction when they present the strategy of growth which can appeal to investors. But 90% of the successful startups have become successful because the founder realized his gaps and he built a strong or inducted a experienced co-founder or built a good team around which uh, takes away the load from day-to-day operations of this visionary founder so that he or she can focus on innovation and futuristic innovation, because as organization grows there are several other administrative people management things which take your toll, and then you stop focusing on your core capabilities. So, this is what I did as a successful co-founder of a tech startup when I was involved. And I strongly believe that the team behind the startup matters to me at the most. When I have to evaluate today other startups as a judge or as an investor, I strongly evaluate people because ideas could fail or require alteration at any stage. However, a well-selected, coordinated, and cohesive team can collectively overcome any such challenges and define a new path when required. Human beings can create miracles, and thus for me, it's always people, people, and people. So now we've talked about technology, we've talked about family businesses, we talked about people. Um, all these, all these matter extensively for when either when you are transforming an organization or when you are starting a new business, right? So so when I say my while I work with organizations and I work with the management teams there, I also do work very closely with, because minority of the time the problem sits at the top. The resistance to change, the resistance to accept that there are other ways and means of doing business. I'm a very, very strong advocate of that the board in an organization should not only comprise of gray-haired experienced people, but also youth, women, generation X, Y, Z, whatever we may call it. All these are critical to be in a board so that they can give different uh, perspective, you know. So now, lastly, we've all gone through COVID. We've just come out of that, but I would say this is probably a great start. People may call me blind, but I always tend to look at the positives, and that can be created out of every challenge that is thrown across to mankind, like COVID. But what has happened? The world has become more resilient. People have learned to value life a little bit more than earlier. New jobs have been created, new professions have been created. Employers have learned that businesses can be managed differently and successfully. Employees can be more trusted if they are and can be more believed in. Um, Several sectors and industries have registered massive growths, and their best years ever have come during COVID. And people have had the time to learn new skills and spend better quality time with family than have understood the importance of human connect. Governments have learned the importance of becoming self-sufficient and do resource planning for the future. Businesses have also understood the essence of geographical and industry diversification for risk mitigation and reduction of dependency on just one area. So I believe that the pandemic has been instrumental in making people, business, and governments realize the obvious law of nature. Anything that goes up has to come down and give way to new entrants. We've seen this happening every couple of years. So reasons could be different, but the pandemic acted as a catalyst in reinforcing the essence of those beliefs in a hard-hitting manner. So we also learned that businesses need to be leaner and have a proper cash flow management along with keeping reserves for unknown incidental happenings. We learned that health takes precedent over everything else. We learned that it is possible to have a blended approach where humans and machines work together. We learned that family and friends matter and probably have improved our skills on identifying the true from the fake. We've learned the value of work life balance and the results. We've learned to appreciate nature and not to take things for granted. And most importantly, it's just been reinforced that the only constant in life is change. Uh, and with that, I close my address here. And I hope some of what I have said would have given some inspiration. Um, I am there on LinkedIn. My contacts are there. Please do connect. And at any stage, if I can support anyone in any manner, more than happy to do that. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.